Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your boy MagMongoSlade. So Karl Anderson decided to go on Twitter and kick up some dust after WWE offers mental health services to their talent who might be going through a difficult time. And he's basically said that they suck. I guess they meaning WWE. But this began on Wednesday. On Wednesday, Shannon Spruill, who wrestled in WCW as Daphne, she also wrestled in TNA, I believe. There was a disturbing video being floated around online of her crying and being very upset, implying that she was going to kill herself. The next day, she was actually found dead. So apparently she did. So in response to this, WWE sent out text messages to their talent, basically telling them, hey, the mental health services are available. Karl Anderson of the Good Brothers then responded to Sean Ross Sapp when he basically relayed that news to the Twitter world that they suck, bro. And then for the next several hours, people have just been tearing into Karl Anderson on Twitter. So you know how we do. I have to give my thoughts first, and then I'm going to read some tweets. I have no horse in this race, if we're being honest. Karl Anderson is not my favorite wrestler. He's not my favorite guy. There's going to be some things maybe I come across here that I might agree with, but Karl Anderson and how he feels about WWE is not really something that I consider too much, because he had a bad experience, and a lot of people have bad experiences, and when people have bad experiences, they act out. My whole thing is, it was the wrong time for this. This is about a very serious issue about wrestlers committing suicide, which is a big thing in the wrestling community. Daphne is just one of many wrestlers that have committed suicide. I believe Test committed suicide. Chris Kanyon committed suicide. I believe Ashley Massaro committed suicide. Just have been so many wrestlers that have committed suicide. And it's a very, very tough subject for people to deal with. And it was made even worse as the video floated around online. And for hours and hours, people were trying to get in contact with her and really wanted to talk to her. And so it's a very sensitive subject. It was not the time to go on about the Wednesday Night Wars and all that kind of stuff. It was just not the right time for it. Am I gonna cuss Karl Anderson up and down? No. The most I can say is it was shameless. It was tasteless. But at the same time, I think he was trying to separate Daphne from this situation, and some people are going to try to clarify Karl Anderson's position. Maybe I'll read until I get to that point. But I basically, if it's a big Twitter hubbub, and since this is becoming a source of wrestling media, I feel like I have to cover this subject, even though it's a pretty tough subject to cover. We're talking about suicide here. A little aside, let's talk about Daphne a little bit. I'm not a super fan. I really did not watch WCW when she was there. When I went back on the network to watch it, I was not specifically paying attention to her. But it's still very sad that somebody committed suicide, and that their life, they just didn't get the help that they needed. But it was also very good to see that there are people who were paying attention to her and did appreciate her work. All right, so now let's get into Karl Anderson. And well, matter of fact, let's go to Karl Anderson's Twitter tirade first. Before I go to the people who are responding to Karl Anderson, let's go to what he actually said. Let's see. All right, so this Sean Ross Sapp tweet went, WWE sent out a message to talent today, noting that they provide counseling services if they are in need of help. Karl Anderson responded, "They suck, bro," and we were off to the races, and everybody has been attacking him all night. Then he tweets out about what happened to the Wednesday Night Wars. Fuck, they gave up quick. And then, of course, they arguing about NXT and all that kind of stuff. I'm not interested in that. But people started going off on him, and he started saying to people that, he's not going to sign autographs or, calling people marks and saying that, if you have a problem, meet him in person. It's real stupid stuff. I don't see how anybody would want a Karl Anderson autograph. The only way I would give Karl Anderson a picture is if I want him to take it to AJ Styles to get it signed. Other than that, I have no interest in. And I don't know anybody who has any interest in Karl Anderson. But let's go through this whole thing. Let's see. Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows, if Prince Devitt hadn't recruited them into the original Bullet Club. And it's somebody stacking burgers at McDonald's. Wow. Let's see. Same thing. Karl Anderson really about to wake up tomorrow and realize he possibly ended his own career. Somebody's laughing because it says former WWE wrestler Karl Anderson. I can't wait to get on Reddit to see SC jerk clown Karl Anderson. Damn, Karl Anderson's out here doubling down again and again. It's a mess. Karl Anderson ain't shit. Ain't never been shit. Ain't never gonna be shit. So I mean, we knew Karl Anderson was a clown, but goddamn, the shit he pulled today of all days. He says, I've been disliking Karl Anderson since he referred to his wife as hot Asian wife. That's actually pretty cool. I'm pretty sure his wife liked that. But he's also been getting reamed about that too, The picture of him with cheater written all over his face is all over this. That's partly what's so hard about reading this stuff. People keep posting that picture of Karl Anderson sleeping, and his wife had written cheater and asshole all over his face. Karl Anderson is really shitting on WWE for caring about their employees' mental health, all because Vince didn't push him. Oh, wow. Only time Karl Anderson can read the room is when a woman who isn't his wife is in it. Wow. For 10 years, Karl Anderson has been riding the coattails of that one match he had and being in a group that cosplayed as another group. Bullet Club was BWO without the fun, and for some reason, these boring assholes are still on TV. Wow. Wow. You know what? I wouldn't say that they were the BWO. I think that's a little too far, man. I think they're like, that's a pretty good burn, though. They are definitely, an NWO ripoff, but I wouldn't call them the BWO. The BWO was an actual parody. And I'm not a fan of the Blue Meanie, personally. See, Karl Anderson is bringing heat to Impact and AEW that they don't deserve, all because he thinks he's above everyone because he doesn't work for Vince McMahon anymore. Machine Gun, your horrible attitude is most likely the reason you got your future endeavor email. Grow up, man. Oof. That's a stiff one. WWE offering counseling to their talent after what happened with Daphne is a rare good move from the Fed, and I cannot believe Karl Anderson is shitting on it. Come on, dude. Oh, man. Says Karl Anderson is quick to respond when it comes to the wrestling war, but when his wife catches him piping down school cafeteria ladies behind her back, he is quiet as hell. What a clown. Oh, this one feels kind of good to not have a horse in the race. I can't defend what Karl Anderson said. He feels how he feels, but it's not like he was talking bad about Daphne. So that's what I thought it was at first. But this is still good enough to, it's not the right time to be going off about this kind of shit. Anyway, I used to like Karl Anderson, but like Karl Anderson himself, I changed my mind about someone I allegedly liked. Wow. Karl Anderson, a legit jobber, is shitting on WWE all day because WWE offered counseling to its employees. All because he wasn't pushed by WWE. Firing him was not a bad after all. This is a definition of a deluded motherfucker. Sometimes WWE releases people and then, they show why they got released. A lot of people are calling Karl Anderson a drunk. So which one of you had Karl Anderson in the pool today as to which wrestler was going to take this tragedy and use it to make an absolute fool of themselves on social media? I'm sure most of us had Ryback, but it looks like Anderson's running away with it. It's Most people are really, really mad at Karl Anderson. Who knew Karl Anderson's tweet game was influenced by Jonathan Snowden? Karl Anderson going on his monthly I hate WWE shit on a day like this is downright disgusting. Like, grow up, dude. I regret clicking on why Karl Anderson was trending because he continued justifying my hatred for the Good Brothers by being a bitter bitch on all days. Also, further proved my point about the Elite in general are the worst thing in wrestling currently. Wow. You know what? Not a fan of the Elite. Not a fan. But I am thinking about what kind of backlash is going to come from this. If you're Impact, what do you do? If you're AEW, what did you do? You've been featuring the Good Brothers pretty heavily. Do you say, like these companies aren't corporate like WWE? You know, the WWE probably would do something about something like this, but maybe Impact would just kind of be like, you know what? It'll probably blow over. And to be quite honest, Impact is on the air as this stuff is going on. So, like, as Karl Anderson is getting dragged on Twitter, Impact is on. So, people are talking about Karl Anderson, but they ain't talking about the show. So, Karl Anderson hasn't gone the best way about it, but he's obviously upset that generally WWE has a detrimental effect on the mental health among talent. WWE only sends emails like this when a situation arises where they can fear bad publicity, like different from the wellness policy. A little different from the wellness policy. He had to correct it. This wasn't an email. It was apparently a text message sent to talent, which I guess somebody shared. And I don't see how this would get bad publicity for them. She never worked for there. So she worked in WCW. So I don't see how I don't see how that connection can be made. But of course, this is jaded, cynical wrestling fan stuff. Look, you can say that they don't care about talent, mental illness, and mental health and all that kind of stuff. But they gave Sasha Banks all that time off when she had a breakdown not too long ago. Jake Atlas said on Twitter that, WWE paid 6 months for him to go to, Jake Atlas was not under contract a full year, if I don't believe. And he said that, 6 months he was going through therapy and WWE paid for it. They don't publicize the things that they do, So, for starters, they shouldn't have to. But you have these people who apparently, the know-it-alls who know it all, and they come to these conclusions that everything is about publicity and PR. When in reality, it's bad business for wrestlers that worked anywhere to be up and committing suicide. It's just bad. Let's see. I've been telling people Karl Anderson was a weirdo. I'm glad he's showing his true colors. Absolute piece of shit. He said, that's how you know Karl Anderson ain't shit. They use former WWE wrestler instead of Impact Wrestling star. Oh, I gotta heart that one. I'm hearting that. I don't think I've ever hearted a comment during this shit before. Let's see. If Karl Anderson forgets to check in with his wife again, she's taking the kids and the house, so he needs to focus on keeping his job entertaining $80K a week on Access TV. Oh. It's a little more than 80. Okay, it was 98 last week. My God. WWE could cure cancer and Karl Anderson would hop on here and say, nah, they're shit. What happened to the Wednesday Night War? Only wrestler working today who sucks more than Karl Anderson is Doc Gallows. Doc Gallows is the only guy I know that's been fired from WWE 3 times. How many people have been fired from WWE as many times as Doc Gallows? I have no idea. They fired him when he was doing the Festus thing. Then they fired him shortly after his the Straight Edge Savior thing. And they had to fire him again as a member of the Good Brothers. How many times they got to fire that guy? Says, nah, legit, fuck Karl Anderson. I have never been more disgusted in my life than a dude using someone's death for clout and war. Fuck him. Oh, man. Karl Anderson is so bitter for the fact that people realize he couldn't draw flies to shit. The only thing he draws is the mastery of cheating on that hot Asian wife he boasts about constantly. Ugh. He is, talking about he can't wait to meet people in person. I don't know what that means. Karl Anderson replied to a Sean Ross Sapp tweet about WWE offering mental health services with "That place sucks." He worked there and can say that. He tweeted his respects about Daphne prior and said nothing about WWE in that tweet. That's what happened. Don't speak. Don't spin it. Okay. And that's really what I was considering, that, you can talk about two separate subjects and those subjects are not in any way connected. But you can say that place still sucks, or, good thing, something snide about it. But here's the thing. You can't do anything about what individuals feel. The job is a high pressure job. WWE is a high pressure job. And they tell people that, like, off rip. There's a lot of pressure. You're going to be doing a lot of media, and you're going to be fighting and scratching for TV time. And this shit is not easy. It's the top of the industry for a reason. And very few people can make it and stay there for a reason. Some people are just not mentally equipped to be at the top of the WWE card. You're asking for a lot. There's a lot of responsibilities. Roman Reigns can't do this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, Roman Reigns can't go on Twitter and be like, suck a blood-covered dick in Saudi Arabia, which CM Punk said to The Miz, right? Like, he can't do that. He'll fuck around and fuck up $100 million worth of, advertising or something like that. He can't do that shit. Like, these dudes don't, they take the easy route by going to these little rinky-dink promotions like Impact, and then they say stuff that, it reflects badly on the company, but since nobody watches it anyway, it doesn't matter. Again, a middling WWE wrestler wouldn't be able to go on Twitter and make this statement and keep their job, because you fucking up the money at that point. So people really should think about that. Someone just died, and Karl Anderson makes it about him and his grievances with WWE. Says Karl Anderson really on here drunk tweeting, constantly trying to stir up shit because deep down he knows the Good Brothers are clearly the inferior Doc Gallows tag team. Jesse and Festus, man, that was such a bad idea. That was a terrible idea. Oh, somebody is atting Tony Khan. Look, I don't like that. Don't at the bosses. Don't do that. Don't at Tony Khan. Don't do that. Don't snitch tag. Stop doing that. Geez, Karl Anderson, a pile of shit. Man, he needs help. Imagine making today about a fucking wrestling show. Wow. See, if AEW lets Karl Anderson get away with this shit just because he's buddy with the elite, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. He says, I'm really sad seeing a 40-year-old, fully grown man like Karl Anderson call people out and inviting them to fight him, using the death of Daphne to further his anti-WWE agenda is not something I expected to see, even from somebody as bitter as he. Send the guy his P45 already. I don't know what that means. The way nobody would even want to take a picture with Karl Anderson or get his autograph. I'm sure that there's some New Japan marks that be out there that are like, oh my god, Machine Gun Son, Machine Gun Sama, Machine Gun Sama, I love you. You were so good in 2012. That was 9 years ago, dog. People are saying he's going to be Virgil. Anybody making a joke of mental health obviously hasn't spent a single day in a dark place. Karl Anderson is a piece of shit. I think a lot of people didn't really read what Karl Anderson said. I think they're just mostly responding to other people's responses. And that's the bad thing about Twitter, is people aren't thinking for themselves. It's a hive mentality, and it supports and incentivizes hive mentality. That goddamn heart system, and I'm not saying they should get rid of it, but I can tell you, when people get a lot of hearts saying things, likes, that those likes, man, it's I think it's been proven that people get addicted to that kind of shit, So I don't know. See, Karl Anderson woke up, put on black Air Force Ones, and chose violence. He chose something, all right. Let's see. Do we got any more? See, there are already people defending Karl Anderson. I'm getting my block button ready. The only good thing Karl Anderson has ever done is introducing Charlotte and Andrade to each other. Oh, he did do that. That was nice, I guess. What? Are they talking about Karl Anderson cheating again? If only Karl Anderson can put his phone down for a minute, that would be great. You're only making it worse for yourself. Life is too short for this. I agree with that last sentence. It's definitely too short. All right. I think we run out of stuff to say. Okay, so here's one more. There's a time and a place for everything, Karl Anderson. This was not the time, and under that tweet was not the place. No one is saying he can't have resentment towards the company. However, that was possibly one of the most distasteful moments he could have voiced that resentment. And I think that's ultimately my point. Like there is a time, if it was like a regular Thursday and nobody's paying attention to anything, nobody cares about anything, and you just want to spend an hour ripping on WWE because fuck them, sure. Most people would have just, hit the heart button and moved on, not cared. But, at a time like this when folks are really upset, because and again, they're really sensitive because the video came out just 12 or 24 hours before she was found dead. So people were like on high alert already. Like, hopefully somebody can get her. Hopefully somebody can talk to her. And then she's dead. And now they're like, okay, wait a minute. People are like, okay, there's going to be people who are going to be affected by this too. Because there are wrestlers on the roster who knew Daphne from her time working at other places. That's why they send those things out. You can say it's PR all you want, but they don't know who other people know. When wrestlers die, it's always somebody's friend. Somebody that somebody met at a con, somebody met at an independent show. You don't know that. You have to take those things into account. This Karl Anderson WWE hate because your own simple biases. Health care for their talents, and people just have a difficult time defending him. Should open their eyes to one thing. It says, I love Karl Anderson as a WWE hate on here. 80% of the respect for him as a person. The IWC better forcefully go on Twitter right creatively and understandable. But it shouldn't have been brought up when someone lost their life. I might not be completely right about this, but I'm noticing not a single wrestler, commentator, or podcaster has said a single word about the lunacy behind Karl Anderson's nonsense. Is that all the interesting ones? That should tell you all you need to know about when Austin Aries is more of a redeemable person than Karl Anderson in 2021. I noticed that too. What did Austin Aries? There's been a lot of the peanut gallery, but not a lot of blue check marks chiming in. And I read some podcasters' tweets in here. I didn't say their names, of course, because I don't like starting shit. Also, some people who do dirt sheets. I've read some of their stuff in here too. But this has been a problem. Look, Karl Anderson needs to relax. That's all. He's got to relax. But he's been fired for almost a year now. But these things have no expiration date. You can go off on people all day, and it's very difficult. So wait a minute, this was an interesting one. Somebody says, quote, mental health matters. Then it says also, quote, fuck Karl Anderson, what a drunk maniac who is untalented and deservedly got fired after the company invoked the financial stability of his family in order to re-sign with WWE, only to fire them during a pandemic. These guys have zero self-awareness. That's true. That's a good point. You can't be like, oh, we care about everybody's mental health, and then like going on Twitter railing against Karl Anderson. I think that the whole mental health thing is kind of, I don't want to say it's an attempt to insulate oneself from criticism. Like, you can't just be like, don't criticize me because you might be attacking my mental health. Because if that's the case, then you're trying to make yourself immune from criticism. So I don't believe that, just because mental health disorders exist, that you shouldn't criticize people. But I think that there's a way to do it. And there's a time and a place for it. A lot of people have talked about Hana Kimura, the Japanese female wrestler who committed suicide after she was bullied online. Everybody was supposed to relax then. They didn't. They chilled for a little while, and then, of course, it comes right back. You know, like your heart shouldn't go that far. Like I can respect mean jokes. I like a good mean joke. You know, be a little crass, a little tasteless. I'm okay with that. You know, but there's a time and a place. Like if you know, Carl Anderson only made this comment on like a Saturday afternoon or something like that, 2 or 3 days after people got a chance to gestate the whole Daphne thing, I think it wouldn't have been as big of a deal. But it being the exact same day, and then we know that there's wrestlers out there struggling with this because they knew her. I believe Zelina Vega actually did know her, know Daphne. So that's a completely, you know, different thing. It's a different. I've been trying to end this. I've been trying to end this. If Carl Anderson put as much effort into not letting himself lose it over the past 8 years as he does tweeting utter bullshit, maybe people wouldn't despise the fact that he collects 2 paychecks. He gets paid twice? Oh, shit. Really? Okay, let's stop. Wait a minute. Carl Anderson's wife said not long ago that he's a drunk. I wouldn't surprise me if he sauced up tonight with all the garbage he's posted. How he's managed to con promotions into employment is astonishing after what I've seen him tweet tonight. And this person added Tony Khan. Please stop doing that. People need to stop adding the bosses. Don't do that. If you want to quote drag Carl Anderson, do so. But don't get his bosses involved. Don't look. This is not worth firing a guy over. You know, like this is not worth taking money away from his family. He just, if at most he's an asshole. Okay, assholes have a right to work. So you can not like what he said. You can say it was not right, wasn't the right time, wasn't the right place. He's a complete ass. Go for it, but don't try to take the guy's career from him. Come on, that's not going to help his alcohol problem. If he has an alcohol problem, which he might not have a problem, he just might like to bottle every now and again. But I've been trying to end this, but I've been seeing some pretty good ones. The further down I go, I'm a hard stop at 30 minutes. I'm a hard stop at 30 minutes. Shock and horror. Carl Anderson is a terrible person, and if we couldn't figure that out by his wife's Instagram posts. Carl Anderson is quick to respond. Oh yeah, I already read that. So I'm going in circles, if that's possible on Twitter. His tweet right after the bullshit was about the Wednesday Night Wars. I'm pretty sure Carl Anderson's mental health is sound of mind. He had an agenda, flat out. Stop with the capes, y'all. It looks super nuts. Carl Anderson is shitting on WWE for helping their talent. What a complete moron. Just want to say about Carl Anderson commenting on the supposed Wednesday Night War. NXT won the last head-to-head. NXT had more ratings. I don't know about that. I don't think that matters anyway. Carl Anderson is an idiot. WWE has made shitty decisions all throughout the history of the company, but they finally make a good one, and he's arguing it like a complete fucking asshole. Well, you know what? That's maybe a good point. All right, it's time to stop. It's time to stop. I just saw another funny one. But I gotta stop. I can't do this. I can't keep doing this. So what do y'all think about this whole thing? Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, donate to the channel. I'll talk to you guys later, man. If you're a fan of Daphne, sorry for your condolences. And I'll talk to you guys later.